Number 1. The United States once wanted to bomb the moon with a nuclear weapon. In the 1950s, America was desperate to prove its superiority over the Soviet Union. And of course, the best idea they came up with was to detonate a nuclear bomb on the moon. This brilliant plan, called Project A-119, was intended to intimidate the Soviets by showing them that America could detonate a nuclear bomb anytime, anywhere, even in space. Fortunately, at some point, someone in the government came to their senses and realized that blowing up the moon might not be such a great idea. Number 2. A man survived both atomic bombings in World War II. May we introduce Tsutomu Yamaguchi, the unluckiest or perhaps the luckiest man in history. On August 6, 1945, he was in Hiroshima when the atomic bomb was dropped. He survived the explosion but suffered severe burns and injuries. A truly terrible day, no doubt about it, but it got even worse. After narrowly escaping Hiroshima's destruction, Yamaguchi boarded a train to Nagasaki just in time to witness the second atomic bombing on August 9th. He survived that as well. Not only did he live through both nuclear explosions, but he also lived until 2010, reaching the impressive age of 93. Number 3. The CIA used cats as spies, and it went horribly wrong. In the 1960s, the CIA launched Operation Acoustic Kitty, in which they surgically implanted listening devices into cats and planned to use them as live spies. The idea was that the cats would sneak up on Soviet officials and record their conversations. But here's the problem. Cats don't follow orders, especially not when wandering the streets of Moscow alone. The first spy cat was released near a Soviet embassy. So what happened? It immediately ran into traffic and was hit by a car. Millions of dollars wasted, 0 Soviet secrets obtained. The CIA immediately abandoned the project. Number 4. The Soviet Union trained dogs to blow up tanks. America wasn't the only nation that tried to use beloved pets as weapons. During World War II, the Soviet army trained dogs to carry bombs under German tanks. The idea was simple. The dog would run under the tank and boom, but there was a huge flaw in the plan. The dogs had been trained with Soviet tanks, so on the battlefield they ran straight toward the wrong side and ended up blowing up their own vehicles instead. After a few too many self-inflicted explosions, the plan was abandoned. Number 5. People in the 19th century thought tomatoes were poisonous. Tomatoes are everywhere, on pizza, in pasta, in ketchup, and so on. But in the 18th and early 19th centuries, Europeans called them poison apples because wealthy people kept dying after eating them. Of course, the tomatoes weren't actually poisonous. The real problem was lead poisoning from their fancy plates. The acidic tomato juice dissolved the lead from the plates and people slowly poisoned themselves. So, yes, they blamed the tomato instead of questioning their poor choice of dinnerware. Number 6. A man in the Middle Ages survived his execution multiple times. In 1305, a man named John Babacom Lee was sentenced to be hanged in England. They put the noose around his neck, opened the trapdoor, and nothing happened. The executioner tried 2 more times, but the trapdoor still refused to open. At that point, they let him go, assuming that God must have wanted him to live. Number 7. Albert Einstein was offered the presidency of Israel. In 1952, Albert Einstein was casually offered the role of president of Israel. Why? Because he was famous and Jewish. That was literally the only reason. Einstein, who wanted nothing to do with politics, immediately declined the offer, probably because he was busy doing real science instead of governing a country. But just imagine that, a nation led by the most famous physicist in history. Number 8. The US spent millions developing a pen. The Soviets just used a pencil. NASA spent millions of dollars developing a pen that could write in 0 gravity. Meanwhile, the Soviets simply took a pencil and got the job done. Before you laugh too hard, there was actually a reason for this. Ordinary pencils break easily, and floating graphite pieces in a spaceship could be deadly. But still, the image of NASA scientists panicking over pens while Soviet cosmonauts just shrug and use a pencil is downright hilarious. Number 9. A fake Paris was once built to fool German bombers. The French government, knowing that German bombers were attacking Paris, simply built a fake version of the city just outside the real one, complete with fake streets, fake lights, and even fake train stations. The idea? To trick German pilots into bombing the fake city instead. Did it work? Not really. because the war ended before the plan could be put into action. But just imagine being a bomber pilot and suddenly realizing that you just destroyed a bunch of cardboard houses instead of the real Eiffel Tower. Number 10. A Japanese soldier surrendered only in 1974. During World War II, Hiro Onoda was stationed on a remote island and received orders to never surrender under any circumstances. As we all know, the war ended with a bang in 1945. However, Onoda didn't know this and kept fighting until 1974. For 29 years, he lived in the jungle, refusing to believe that the war was over. They even dropped leaflets and sent people to deliver the message, but he dismissed it all as enemy propaganda. In the end, his former commander had to be flown in to personally tell him, "Dude, the war has been over for 3 decades." Number 11. A guy faked his own death to avoid paying rent. In 2008, a man in Italy faked his own death for this exact ridiculous reason. The problem? His landlord didn't believe him. The landlord organized a funeral and burial just to see if the guy would show up. Guess what? The idiot was dumb enough to actually turn up. Instead of just being someone who couldn't pay his rent, he was now also a criminal. But hey, he was probably the first man ever to get arrested at his own funeral. Number 12. The Frenchman who was declared dead twice. Jean Bernadotte was basically the human version of a cockroach. You just couldn't get rid of him. First, he fought in the French Revolutionary Wars and was presumed dead, but he survived. Then he fought in the Napoleonic Wars, was once again presumed dead and abandoned by his unit. And again, he somehow survived. Not only that, but he even managed to make his way to Sweden. Eventually, he became the King of Sweden. Pretty impressive considering he was a Frenchman with absolutely no knowledge of the Swedish language. Thanks for watching. See the video on your screen? Well, YouTube thinks this one might interest you as well, so go ahead and check it out if you like.